everyone, it is time for the next video from Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford, and we are doing this one here. We've got more mushrooms again today, and we have a sort of cloudy picture. It's a little bit odd, magical, different, mystical. Odd is not, doesn't sound like a very kind word. It isn't really what I meant, but what I find different is that the raindrops are diamonds. Really interesting. So we have cloud, diamonds, mushrooms, tulips, grass, bunting. Interesting mix of items. I'm using my Staedtler Design Journey pencils. Where should we start? Let's start with the clouds. Now, sorry about this page. It's yeah, near the spine and near the back of the book. Excuse me. Now, clouds I often do in a grey, but I think we could do a pretty cloud in a completely different colour, or we could use a grey blue or a gold, silver, anything really, but I think I'm going to do pink. Why not? This is the palest pink that I have in this set of pencils, the 21, and that's what I'm going to use for the cloud. I think a pink cloud is nice. So I'm going to put a really light layer of 21 all over my cloud to start with, and then go from there really. There we are. I just had a little check on my son's charity stream. It looks a bit quiet now. There didn't. I think he was playing with someone else, so they were chatting, but I'm not sure that there were many people watching. But he doesn't get too bothered about that sort of thing. Now it looks quite pale in the camera. I've done just a light layer. And I think we might do a few darker patches. We'll try. This is 20. I'm going to start at the bottom, I think. We've got these dots at the bottom which make me feel that it should be darker. So I'm going to make this a bit darker at the bottom. And then I'm just going to, with a lighter touch, sort of scumble it up towards the rest, hoping that it just sort of fades off a bit. And on my top layer I've actually unintentionally left a tiny white line all the way around, and I think it looks rather good. Unintentional, and I didn't mention it because it wasn't as unintentional, but never mind. There we go. And now I'm going to go back to the original colour, the 21, and go back over what I've done. I can layer it up a little bit more now and fade it a little bit further up. I do want it to disappear into quite a pale colour at the top. And clouds don't look like this, but I'm just playing around really with colour. And I think that's what colouring can be all about. It doesn't need to make sense. It's very interesting yesterday. I had an advert on Facebook, as you do, for an edition of a book. I think I'm not sure. The book was Alice in Wonderland, and it had, I think it's Raining this colour, 61, because these can be quite a diamondy colour, gemstony colour, and I'm going to put a little white dot in each to make them look like they might be a bit shiny like gemstones. It's easier to put a white dot in pen than to try and leave a white dot. Anyway, so it was an advert, and it had these pictures, that illustrations, and they looked really amazing. And I sent some to my husband. He was like, oh, what was the person called? He looked them up, and the person said that they started off using AI to generate them an image, and then they started there and then put their own twist on it, and we were both like, oh, I don't know about that. Now, I see absolutely nothing wrong with anyone doing that for themselves, but doing it for an image that then's published into a book, because you think, well, where did AI get that image from? AI often seems to steal images from other people, so we weren't very sure about whether we thought that was good or not, really. It's the same as the AI colouring books. they're often a bit dodgy in the sense that they're not particularly good. If you buy a book and the person hasn't very well, what happens is when AI puts together a picture, it makes mistakes. It's not a person, it doesn't know what it's doing. I've decided I'm going to make all these mushrooms purple. So I'm going to grab my number 6 and do the base part, this bit of all of them, layer it up at the bottom and then fade it. So AI might come up with a picture, that's, you know, and where does it get its ideas of pictures from? Well, other pictures, other people's copyrighted pictures often. There are people who do AI art that say that they don't use pictures that are copyrighted. I don't know enough about it to know whether that can happen. If they do, then and they definitely, it's all legal, and people have given their permission for their pictures to be used and stuff. That's all good. But then when AI produces this picture, it doesn't always look particularly right. You know, you find in some books that the proportions are a bit off, or this is 62, or there are strange lines, or there are unfinished objects, or your dog's got 3 legs or 5, things like that, you know. Or I've seen a picture where a woman's got 3 arms. It's just, or someone was sitting on a chair and that was all fine, and then there was a hand on the armrest, but it wasn't connected to an arm. It looked like, you know, Addams Family. That sort of thing, you know. What's going on there? So that's bits. But some people are very better, and they'll generate a picture and then they'll use their Photoshop skills to make it look right, shall we say. There isn't a right and wrong, but I think you know what I'm getting at. 602, I'm going to do the gill bits and the blobby bits. So yes, there are some books where people have worked hard to get it looking right, but it was an interesting thought. I have nothing against colouring or drawing on a computer, you know, using Procreate or Photoshop or whatever. I don't have a problem with that at all. Although my sister said, "Are you a member of so-and-so colouring group on Facebook?" And I went, "I am, I don't post in it, but yeah, or rarely." I'm just going to block these in, I think. And she went, because I've just seen these images and they're really weird. And she sent them to me and she said, "They're AI." And I said, "Yeah, they are." And I can spot them really easily now. And but she said the colouring looks like it was done by AI as well. And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, look at this and that and the other, and you couldn't do that with a pencil or I said, "Oh, I think what they've done is they've digitally coloured it." And she went, "Well, that's cheating." And I said, "No, I really don't think it is." She's like, "Oh, I do." It's like, no, because she's never done it. Not that I have. I don't think she understands quite what is involved. And I think, from my very, very small experience, that, you know, you still have to make your colour choices. You have to decide on your gradient, whether you're going to blend things together or just block it in and things like that. And for me, that is all part the same skills you use when you're actually colouring. The only difference, this is 633, is that you don't have to put in the physical effort of actually moving your pencil or pen, which for some people I know is impossible. They can't do it. They don't have the strength. So I don't have a problem with that at all. No, and interestingly, my sister's daughter is a digital artist. This is 330. So I thought that she might have had an understanding of that, but she was going, "But it's cheating, it's cheating. Why is it allowed on the group?" I said, firstly, I don't think it is cheating, but secondly, this is 330, by the way. It's not a competition. You know, colouring groups are just for showing people your work. You can't cheat because no one's judging you, if you know what I mean. This is £8.90. Now, even if there was a colouring competition, I'm going to do a bit of shadow under here. And someone entered a digitally coloured piece compared to everyone else who'd coloured with pencils, pens, paints. And the digital one won. I would not feel that it was unfair. I feel that as much imagination, work, etc. goes into those. Now I'm going to stop talking about that and talk about these. I want these teardrop shapes to look a little bit three-dimensional. What I'm going to do is draw a little smile at the bottom of them and put a bit of this colour into them. So by a smile I mean a little like that, and then fill in that centre. On all of them, and then put a bit of shadow underneath them. But I know it's quite a controversial debate really, and it's fine to have your own opinion on it, but it doesn't really impact. I get upset when I know that people have been ripped off, but that it's really difficult. Happens all the time and everywhere. I've done lots of different jobs and AI has taken over from certain things that I've done. This is 8, and in other areas it's not been. I'm going to just darken the top and bottom of these stems. It's not been AI that's taken over, but someone cheaper, someone better, or they didn't need someone doing that anymore. Jobs come and go. We have to adapt and change, which is what I do. I'm just used to it, I guess. It's not something that I feel hurt by. Number 5, I'm going to do the grass. I'm going to try and do it this way because that's the way it grows, but it's quite hard to stay in the lines for me going this direction, so I'm just going to take it slowly. Yeah, it's just, it's a personal thing, isn't it? But yeah, when I see people getting very upset because they can't compete with AI with art because it's cheaper, I feel sorry for them, but I think sadly we do have to adapt and find different ways to do things. And if I found that no one was watching my videos anymore, I would have to just find a different way, and so that would be it really. I guess I'm a sort of, it doesn't sound right, but I think it's right, I'm sort of a serial entrepreneur in that I've been running my own business for 20 plus years, but I haven't done the same thing all the time. I've had to adapt and change, and sometimes I've had to change quite drastically. I am looking for a colour for these flowers. I said they were tulips, but I'm wondering whether to touch back to pink and sort of bring it back from the top to sort of draw the eye back up. That's what I'm going to try. 21. In that, I've run different businesses, done different things. When work's dried up, I've tried something else. And I'm always trying, people would say, different things, and it keeps things interesting and enjoyable. And some things have been more successful than others, some things more financially successful, some things more satisfying to me. It is varied a lot. This is a white pen, and I am going to now do these. Remember I said I was going to put a little white. I'm going to put them all on the same side, and then it looks like the light is coming from that direction. It just makes it look slightly more consistent and less random. Some people sort of choose a side and are really careful about it. I guess I've done that, but I haven't made a conscious decision. It was just a random, okay, I'll start here, and then that's where it's led me, really, if that makes any sense. So there we go. I'm trying to make that look a little bit neater, but I think I have it's a bit too messy to rescue, but never mind. There we go. So there is our little mushroom bunting. Do you think there's going to be a party? But they're going to get wet. I suppose if they stand underneath the mushrooms, they'll stay dry. Anyway, we've got something completely different. Oh no, we've got a mushroom to do tomorrow. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you have a lovely day. Take it easy. Try and find some time for some colouring. Yeah, have a super time and happy colouring.